Well, good morning. Thanks for, first off, to our host, thanks for having me here. Let me get oriented here with things. And also, I'd like to thank you for coming and committing the time and effort and energy to attend this session. I hope the discussions today will drive dialogue and ultimately actions to shape what I hope becomes a shared vision in the future, because I think it's going to be critical to the vitality and growing this region. I'm excited to talk with you today, not so much because I enjoy public speaking, because I'm really not good at it, so I'll apologize in advance. But I truly feel that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform this region into a global manufacturing powerhouse, one that's going to springboard the economy forward, one that'll create jobs, one that'll provide an even stronger manufacturing base for us in what I like to call advanced materials, the chemicals, rubbers, plastics, which we'll talk more about, for a lot of the key industries that exist here: automotive, aerospace and aviation, medical devices, industrial products, to satisfy both growing domestic as well as global demand. One that'll help focus and train and develop our talent here to be better problem solvers globally. And combining all of these, one will make for sustainable growth in a globally competitive market. If you were to ask me, what I feel about shale's potential, I honestly have to say that I'm a concerned optimist. My optimism comes from 40 years working in leadership roles, working with a lot of the global OEMs in various industries making value-add products. And I've got a good sense of the know-how of the businesses here, the strong innovation ecosystem that we have here, and the strong desire by people to collaborate here, a lot of which are in this room, are eventually going to help us become successful. My concern comes from listening to a lot of the various stakeholders here and elsewhere in the U.S. We tend to have a limited visibility about what we call the value chain, and what I find is it tends to mean different things in different people. And it's an issue for us all, and I'm sure that's why we've got a lot of people here, because it's new to a lot of us, and quite honestly, it's complicated. Wish I could make it less complicated, but I'll tell you, there's no instant pudding. We just have to accept it, take on the responsibility to learn, and move forward. And also, I think another issue is, since the assets that I'll be talking about take significant time to develop a business case, takes significant time to design and build, up to 3 to 5 years, it's going to take vision and commitment on behalf of a lot of folks in this room to really make some things happen and realize what I think can transform this region to become a global manufacturing powerhouse. In my talk today, I'm going to focus on a few things. I'm going to share an expanded view of what I feel is the shale value chain, and it goes a lot further beyond energy use. I'm going to show that our region has tremendous capabilities to capture more of this value. I'm going to provide some analysis and hopefully show what's in it, what could be in it for you. I'm going to talk about how, my opinion, how we should market the region, and I'm going to highlight some issues and challenges to exploit and benefit from shale, because it's literally being pulled out from our ground, as the ground from under our feet as we speak. One of the things that makes it complicated is if you look at the demand for these feedstocks globally, and you see I've put these arrows both ways, because when you look at fuel, when you look at power, and when you look at the NGLs and the derivative products from that, global demand is going to pull these in a lot of different directions, and the supply and demand for these products is going to go wherever it provides the best net back for that base. So if you look at power, one of the things that you can see is that, as we heard from our earlier speakers, tremendous amount of infrastructure going into power. And one of the things for us to take away is the electricity costs right now from natural gas. When you compare us to Europe, when you compare us to Asia, depending on the region, we're about a third to a half. So when you look at the manufacturing base here, it's done a tremendous job to improve our cost basis. If you look at fuel, there are currently 5 LNG facilities that are approved in the US and 30 that are under review and construction. And when you look at things like Philadelphia's conversion from a LNG importing region to an LNG exporting region, it just goes to show how transformational that is. And when you look at LPG and CNG for transportation, in Ohio we have 3 CNG facilities going that are on stream right now in Columbus, Coshocton, and Newark. Procter & Gamble is committed to convert 20% of its on-demand fleet to LNG. Frito-Lay is building 8 filling stations and transforming 20% of their truck fleet. Travel Centers of America has just announced a relationship with Shell Oil to convert 100 of their 165 stations to LNG. And Trillium is currently building 100 CNG fueling stations across the country by 2016. Tremendous amount of activity. So obviously in power and fuel there's a lot going on. What I'd really like to focus on is the NGL side. And these are the liquids that come across with the methane gas, and they need to be removed because you can't translate the gas over long distances there. They kind of muck things up. And right now, the relatively low output from the region is making these natural gas liquids easy to handle. Just came from a recent meeting where in the out years, around 2020 and beyond, there could be as many as 1 billion barrels a day of these NGL liquids that need to find a home. And I think that's where the ultimate opportunity for our region could be. Without getting into too much chemistry, and I apologize for that because there is no instant pudding. If you look at the natural gas, that gets converted into ethane, one of the value chains going forward, which goes to a cracker. And I think we've seen a lot of examples right now where you can make just a wide variety of products that come from only this ethane stream. And if you look at chemicals and plastics, they represent an $800 billion industry in the U.S. And with the exception of pharmaceuticals, we actually operate at a trade surplus exporting these products out of the U.S. And again, as I said, there's a tremendous value here, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of the other ones. If you look at methanol value chain goes into making a variety of products such as fuel additives, but also things like plywood, particle board, a lot of building and construction products, adhesives, and some other chemicals. A real example that struck me is a company called Methanex, the world leader in producing methanol, had 2 facilities in Chile. And what they did is shut down those 2 facilities. They've moved them to Louisiana, and now they're going to be restarting those to take advantage and become globally competitive using the natural gas here. Another value chain is ammonia. I heard Dave touch on that a little bit as well. Ammonia, 80% of this product goes into making fertilizers. Between 1999 and 2006, 40% of the capacity in the US was shut down because it wasn't cost competitive. Now we're in a position where a lot of these facilities that have been shutting down are being restarted because of the transformational effect of this low-cost gas. Potash Corp, which has a facility in Lima, Ohio, talked with some of the folks there just the other day, and it's interesting. Now they're looking at ways that they can get pipeline natural gas feeds to their other facilities. They have other ways to get it now, but when I look at this state being an agricultural state, and in addition to having some of the capabilities to export going forward, I really feel there could be tremendous opportunity for us there. This is a busy slide, and I apologize for that, but it's complicated. So when you look at the opportunities when you look at power, when you look at fuel, when you look at a lot of the derivative chemicals and plastics that could come from this, and as a lot of you are benefiting already right now from the pipeline and midstream work going on, a tremendous amount of value in all of the ancillary products and services that go around with that. The good news is as the chemicals and derivatives industry go, that same equipment, those same skill sets, that same capabilities is going to be required to build those chemicals facilities. And that's what I think can bode well really for the region. To me, it's a great portfolio of opportunity. And I kind of like it when we talk about sustainability and we talk about avoiding these boom and bust cycles. I think where the portfolio of opportunity comes, a lot of these end-use markets are very diverse, and I think if we plan and build the foundations properly here, we can build an asset base that's going to be, I'll never say it's going to be recession-proof, but recession-resistant, and because of the fact that it's been diversified, just like you would diversify any investment. This shows why I think we're really well positioned in the advanced materials space. Ohio ships $32 billion worth of products chemicals annually, and an additional $8 billion of converted products. You recall a lot of the earlier slides that you've seen with a lot of examples of those products there right now. And also when I look at the fact that 50% of the consumers, the domestic consumers, are within 500-mile region of this facility, what I see as a businessman is a very compact, efficient supply chain. And when you have a compact, efficient supply chain, it means optimal costs, it means fastest and speediest innovation, and it means the ability to grow and expand and give you the flexibility that you need going forward. There are literally hundreds of these companies here. So when you look at this, right now, because of our natural gas prices, all of their efficiencies in manufacturing has been boosted because their raw material costs or their energy costs have decreased. In addition, the location and the proximity of this, as well as with the, if you were to overlay where our higher institutions are, the ability to make for quick, efficient innovation, to me, is a tremendous foundation for us to build on. Now, in the next few slides, I'm going to quickly share with you some work from an American Chemistry Council study that was recently released. This came out in May of last year, and what they found is they looked at all of the projects that were related to shale and that benefit from shale. There were 100 of them at the time, and those 100 projects totaled $72 billion of investment. And that $72 billion of investment was in the value chains, the ones that I quickly went over with you earlier. And those investments, once realized, translate to $67 billion annually in revenue for the U.S. Just a tremendous thing. And if you look at where that investment's going to go, because I figured that would be interesting for all of you, good news is 13% of it is geared for the Ohio Valley. The bad news is a lot of it isn't. And I think as we drive discussion and dialogue and build ideas, I think our challenge is how do we look to grow the pie? Supply and demand is going to help do that. But I think also at the same time, how do we increase our piece? If you look at where, in terms of the chemical sectors where it's going to go, you'll see a lot of it goes into the areas that I just talked about. That's going into chemicals, derivative chemicals, plastics, and fertilizers. And lastly, for those of you that are in the service industry or supplying materials and the like, what you'll see, here's a breakout of where they go, and I think plenty of opportunity for all of you. Now, if you look at the rate of where that spend is going to go, you can see a lot of that is front-end loaded. A lot of this investment is in the ground right now, and as we speak. I think the interesting thing, I didn't get a chance to include it here because the data just came out last week, but if you look at the out years, 2017 to 2020, the ACC actually revised, looked at the new projects that were coming on. It went from, now you think about it, it's an 8 or 9 month period. The number of projects went from 100 to 130. The value of the project, or the value of the investment of the CapEx, went from 72 to 91. And right now I haven't seen the extrapolation yet for what that can mean for annualized revenue. But when you think about that, and for me as someone that's been in the industry for 40 years, just unprecedented in terms of the level of growth that's going on there. So what does 2020 look like? I think we're going to see continual build out of the logistics to store, ship, move a lot of these chemicals. The good news is that the chemical business that's going to come for that is going to be able to piggyback and build on what's already being put in place from the pipeline and midstream infrastructure. We'll see multiple CNG locations building on where we are right now. My hope is we'll see some LNG facilities. This could be a little provocative, but right now there's the Port of Cleveland is actually working on a boat shipping directly to Europe with a Dutch company right now. Be interesting to see if there might be mini LNG facilities that we could use to grow in the future. We are going to see refineries expand. Marathon's currently doing it, but you'll see up here a number of projects, some which has been spoken with already, that where these derivative chemical plastics are going to come into place. Nova Chemicals currently right now has an arrangement with Kinder Morgan where they're taking ethane out of the Utica right now, and that is being shipped up to Sarnia. They've invested $300 million in converting their facility up in Sarnia, and this will make them more cost-effective, because they plan to ship domestically and globally. In addition to that, it's going to give them 2 billion pounds of additional capacity to continue to grow with. We've got facilities in Shell, which is currently under study right now. We've got an announced capacity or announced new facility for a cracker and 3 polyethylene lines, which has been announced by Odebrecht, Braskem, and Aether has also announced an expansion. What I will also see is because of all of those plastics, chemicals, and metals companies up there, I think we're going to continue to see them grow and to see new foreign investment in companies to add more of those coming to the region, just because of the fact that we have this tight, efficient new supply chain going forward. And how should the region be marketed? We are, and we don't talk about this a lot, but we are the leader domestically in manufacturing in this state, in this region. We have it now. Now we've been blessed with an opportunity around a new natural resource that's going to reduce our cost and potentially give us new feedstocks to expand and strengthen the industry that exists here. And because of the fact that we have a robust manufacturing environment, we have a strong educational network, and now as these pipelines and NGL facilities get built out, we have a very quick and efficient supply chain to tap. I think it's going to bring us tremendous opportunity. And what that'll mean is that domestically, we're going to be a better supplier, more cost competitive, and be able to fend off imports. Flip side of that, we're going to become a globally more competitive exporter of these advanced materials and manufactured products to the right industries. Our growth challenge is that this is pretty new for us here in terms of bringing together this new value chain. There's competition. There's shale all across the world. There's shale in different regions of the U.S. And we certainly know that there's a lot of assets to convert those natural gas liquids that are outside this region. I think our challenge is how do we find opportunities to work creatively to find these facilities, locate them here, and grow. The gaps in the pipelines are being filled right now, both from the pipeline as well as from the midstream. The derivative chemicals, we're seeing a tremendous amount of activity going on right now. I think our issue, and I come back to our challenge, is it's a huge change management initiative. But I think there's tremendous opportunity there. And if I were to urge this group of anything, I think this is truly an opportunity for us to use it or lose it. We have a window of opportunity, and I think we need to work very aggressively in this period of time, because I think we've got a breather as this infrastructure is getting built to find ways to use it. We have the capability and talent, and I understand it's a complicated value chain, and wish that could be simpler, but frankly just can't. But I hope that what we put up here and subsequent discussions that we'll have will help us build and be able to realize and recognize opportunities where we can work and help grow this industry. And I guess to answer the question, why not here? So in closing, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for your attention. I hope myself and along with the other speakers will spark some dialogue and some questions. And for me and on behalf of Team NEO, count on us to help wherever we can. So thank you very much. Have a great day.